ABM Productions Intellectual Videographic. He proposed you this problem about time. Truly, time is a very strange thing, and the poor watches sometimes have it very difficult to measure it. Are the situations some of them? Let's see. Situation A. We have a very long train, as long as we want, and the train passes very fast through the station of a town where an old man is standing still, leaning on his cane, on the platform, next to the road, and the old man has a clock on his wrist, which makes an hour. The train drives that moves away at a great speed. He has another on his wrist. The machinist clock, according to the theory of relativity, for the moving very fast, has to measure a time that dilates. And therefore, this clock is delayed with respect to the old man's clock, which is still motionless on the platform. So we can say that the driver's watch is delayed with respect to the old man's clock. Situation B. The driver's assistant, a good athlete, sees the old man on the platform, who is his grandfather, with the pitch in his hand for him, and the assistant starts running from the cabin to the train's tail, quickly, moving away by the train of the machinist. At this time, the assistant's watch is measuring a time that dilates with respect to the clock of the machinist. So now, the assistant's clock is delayed. Its go moves slowly than the machinist's clock. That's right, the assistant's clock less time than the machinist's clock. Situation C. Run and run the assistant of the train, which is as long as we want, towards the train's tail, until trying to reach the head of his grandfather, who salutes, and reach out to take the pitch that his grandfather there tends. At this time, grandchild clock and grandfather clock, what do these clocks do, one with respect to the other? What do they do with respect times? How do they measure them? Interpretations. Until we have a reliable empirical test, we should make conjectures. Let's see some interpretations. This interpretation refers to the time of the human subject, or psychological time, and the time of the clocks. The human subject feels time. He also thinks, deduces, infers, or reasons, and writes formulas using the concept time. Well, that psychological concept time has nothing to do with the time that clocks measure or produce. They are two different worlds. Therefore, the clocks mark their time different from the one we deduce. Interpretation 2. This interpretation relates the movement conditions of each clock in such a way that the grandson's clock, because it is motion, delays with respect to the one that is still, that of the machinist, and this one delays with respect to the one of the grandfather's, quiet in the platform. The hours that each clock shows are likely this, but when they are seen together, grandchild watch and grandfather's clock, to be immobile one with respect to the other. They must mark the same. So, if we do not look at them, they mark differently, but if we look at them, they mark the same. Although it seems impossible to us, it is, and it must be accepted that it is so, according to the interpretation. But if the grandfather touched the grandson's watch and the grandson, the grandfather's, at the moment of the transfer, the pitch, then what do the clocks do? What should they do with their time? And what do you think of these interpretations? What interpretation did you choose? Tell us what you think and say it at factoriadeconceptos.com. IVM Production Intellectual Videographic.